The glib line is the greatest motor race on earth. You've got to have a car with massive durability at racing speeds to enable you to compete at the top level at Le Mans.
There's something about Le Mans, it's just infectious. There's so much going on all the time. It's such a buzz around the place. And having this background noise and vision all the time of these high-performance cars going around constantly for 24 hours, it's just so exciting.
The circuit is just magnificent. It's nearly 60% normal roads, which are closed for the event, with just a few sectors which are dedicated race circuit.
Driving at Le Mans is it's amazing. I mean, it's one of the most exciting, exhilarating feelings you can ever get as a racing driver. I mean, it's the fastest road course in the world. I mean, how can that not be exciting?
Even with modern technology, to put these cars under that sort of stress for 24 hours is immense. Bentley went to Le Mans in the very first year of the race, 1923.
The Bentley boys were a disparate group of rich customers of Bentleys who wanted to race their cars at Le Mans.
They were pin-ups of the day. So whilst their racing exploits were making the headlines on the back pages of the newspaper, their social exploits were on the front pages, so they were very well known. It was funny at the time because W.O. Bentley, when he was approached to support it, said it was mad. The thing couldn't work. No car could survive the rigours of 24 hours racing on unmade race roads in France. And then with literally a day to go, he said to his sales manager, Hilstead, we've got to go and see this race. So he went to watch the first Le Mans 24-hour race in 1923, and by midnight he was captured by it, and he said this is the most marvellous thing he'd ever seen.
What did it take to put a racing program together? Well, to do it from scratch means you have to build up not only the vehicle, but also the team, the backing, everything else that goes together to building the blocks together of a successful team. And that was quite difficult to do, especially based in a relatively remote part of England where the cars were built. It was actually relatively cost effective to go to Le Mans. The Bentley Motor Group benefits from the parentage of the Volkswagen Group. We were able to do that within the racing fraternity in Volkswagen and raid the technology bank which was within the group, within Audi Sport. What the access to Audi Sport's facilities did was allow us to test the mechanical components before we got them in a car to prove that the engine and gearbox and all functioning units around it were going to survive the torture they go through at Le Mans.
For us to come back in 2001 to 2003 and see hundreds of thousands of people flying the Union Jack and Bentley flags, wearing Bentley hats and Bentley t-shirts was fantastic.
The chances of finishing well in the first year, we did quite an extensive test program. We tried to do a 24-hour test. We succeeded eventually after a couple of full starts, but we believed the car would be reliable. What Le Mans throws at you, obviously we didn't have any control over.
We had probably the worst weather conditions in living memory at Le Mans that year. Very, very wet.
The concerns really were around the fact that we hadn't run at a track that was comparable to Le Mans in our test program. The aero package we were not 100% sure about, and then as we came to the weekend, the weather forecast got worse and worse and worse. We hadn't actually run a proper wet test prior to the event.
And one car succumbed to wet in the gearbox compressor unit, which stranded the car out on circuit. The other car battled its way through to third place and a podium finish, the first time on the podium for 70 odd years for Bentley, which was a very satisfactory start to the programme. In 2002 was a rather diluted programme insofar that we only eventually ran one car, but that car would carry the new 4-litre direct injection engine for the first time, and it was essentially thought of as a test year for the technology for the following year. So we ran that car, we finished 4th behind 3 Audis, but set us up with the correct mechanical platform to continue to the 2003 car. We had essentially the right ingredients and very durable mechanical components. What we then needed to do was develop the car into an aerodynamic format that was going to be quick enough to win that race. And that's really what changed the most between 2001 and 2003. There was a great deal of pressure, and we had to bring the cars home, 1st and 2nd.
That's what sports car racing is all about, pushing it to the limit. Pulling a lot of G's with these cars, with the Le Mans prototypes. I mean, in the Porsche curves, you're probably pulling around about 3.5, 4 G's. And, well, when you're driving with all the different classes, I mean, that's what makes sports car racing and Le Mans in particular so exciting. I mean, you know, the big thing is dealing with the traffic. The main thing is to be decisive, because obviously you want to make sure that you're forceful and you get through, and they know that you're coming through. But at the same time, you don't want to be in a position where you put yourself and the car at risk. And you know, when you're driving at night time and you've only maybe had 4 or 5 hours sleep and you're feeling tired, and that's where the experience really comes into play. Personally, I really like driving at night. It's one of those feelings where you really feel like you're kind of out there on your own, and it's a time where you can really kind of push on, and quite often the races are won or lost in the evening. I remember them saying to me, with 2 hours to go, okay guy, we want you to finish the race. Literally at that point, when you've got a lap lead, all you can do is basically throw it away. I remember thinking, as great as that was, suddenly there was a lot of pressure. Going across the start-finish line, they have the big clock up there, counting the race down. And every time I came past the clock and looked up, it seemed that it never really went down.
1 hour before the finish, we're thinking, just don't stop.
That was a very, very long hour.
But luckily, it held together, and as they counted the laps down, it started to become reality that we were going to do it.
Everyone else respectfully, of course, falling into line behind the checkered flag out. It's been 3 long years. They've got second at their first attempt, and now it's first at their third attempt. Bentley win Le Mans.
And to have Guy Smith as the British member of the team actually have the honour of driving it over the line, as you can imagine, was such a huge thing for us.
You never really allow yourself to ever think that you're going to do it. To win Le Mans, I mean, what can I say? Obviously a fantastic feeling being a British driver in a British car with all those British fans. I would say it probably took the best part of almost a week till it really sunk in. Then I kind of thought, God, I've actually won Le Mans, I've done it.
I think that still today, it's as much a feat for the winning car and the winning company today as it was back in 1923.
The Paris show, when we unveiled the car, the reaction was very positive, quite surprised.
I think the GT3 will go back to the roots of Bentley racing, which goes back to the Bentley boys, who were customers and raced their cars because they wanted to. And I hope the GT3 car can reinvigorate the spirit of customer Bentley racing.
GT3 does not comply with the Le Mans regulations. There are GT cars there, but it's a slightly different formula. There's talks at the moment, maybe in 3 years' time, that GT cars as ours is will be eligible, and we'd very much like to go back.